Hello, and welcome back to Sleepy Stories. Today, I'm going to read Old Faithful and a Comforting Message. When Susan Price and her family moved into their new home, they were shocked to find that the previous owner hadn't quite left his earthly life behind. Susan Price and her parents gained several items of furniture when they moved to a converted farm building. The previous owner, an old man, had died a few months earlier, and while he was alive, his only family lived abroad. The Price were told they could keep anything they wanted. One of the items they particularly liked was an old rocking chair. It had been placed in the dining room, but they decided to move it to the spare room on the other side of the house. A few weeks after the move, Susan was awakened by creaking from the spare room, and was shocked that the rocking chair was moving of its own accord. Her parents decided it must have been the breeze from an open window, but when it happened again the next night, they began to suspect something more. They put the chair in the shed, but began to hear footsteps and quiet crying at night. They decided to ask about the old man around the village. A local shopkeeper told Susan that the old man's best friend had been his dog, which had died some years ago and been buried in the garden. The Prices realized that the dining room looked out onto the garden, and that they should try returning the chair there. Amazingly, as soon as the chair was returned, the haunting stopped. The outcome, it says: once Susan and her parents moved the rocking chair back to the dining room, the ghost of the old man could again sit and remember his faithful friend. A pilot killed attempting to make an unpreceded journey is able to bring hope to his vulnerable wife. In 1928, Captain W. Hinchcliffe and Elsie Mackey set out to fly across the Atlantic. They were attempting to make the very first east-to-west transatlantic aeroplane flight. Sadly, they never arrived at their destination. The two adventurers were lost during the flight, and the plane was presumed to have crashed somewhere near the islands of the Azores. The captain's wife, Emily, prayed for many weeks that she would hear good news of her husband and Elsie, but unfortunately it never came. Emily was at home with her children one night when she was awakened by the sound of heavy footsteps moving along the hall outside her bedroom door. She wasn't frightened, and thought little of this. However, she had guests staying at the time, and she assumed it must be one of them going to fetch a glass of water or visiting the toilet. She was more surprised the next morning when her guest asked her if she had been up walking around the house in the night, as they had heard footsteps. It seemed that everyone in the house had assumed the noise was caused by someone else. Emily realized that if her husband was dead, as she feared, of course, it may have been his ghost in the house that night. She decided that he was trying to make contact with her, that she should try and do the same. She went to visit the famous medium, Aileen Garrett. Through Aileen, Emily was able to talk to the spirit of her late husband. Emily asked Captain Hinchcliffe whether or not he had been in the house the night she had heard the footsteps. She received the following message from him in response: "I am still about the house. I nearly touched the red travelling clock by your bed the other night, but was afraid of frightening you." The medium told Emily that her husband knew of her concern over an insurance policy he had set up to ensure her security in the case of his death. The money from this policy was not coming through as quickly as he had hoped, and Emily was in danger of being reduced to a state of real poverty. Captain Hinchcliffe's spirit was able to assure his wife that there would be a satisfactory settlement very soon. Emily was comforted to hear this, and when it came true, she and the children were well provided for. Those are the 2 stories for tonight. I will continue with this more as I carry on. Thank you for coming to listen, and obviously I shall see you next time. Good night.